I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code Section 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. 551.072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 551.074, to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel, and the time is 5:30. The board will now reconvene into open session. The time is 6:17. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to welcome you to this session. We welcome your comments during the Matters from the Floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action agenda item, you will be called at that time. Finally, I would like to remind you that it is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. Item 5, Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, A, MacArthur High School. Mr. Martinez.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, members of the executive staff, and honored guests and visitors. I want to thank you so much for allowing MacArthur High School the honor and the privilege of presenting the invocation and the pledges tonight. I am honored tonight to have with me two outstanding MacArthur students. Former president and CFO of Yahoo, Marissa Meyer, once said that good students are capable of everything. And that's exactly what you will find with these two young ladies. They exemplify the 360-degree student in their involvement both on and off campus, as well as in their curricular pursuits. Presenting the invocation tonight is our MAC senior, Marcela Ordóñez Castro. Marcela is the president of the MacArthur Student Council. She's a very involved and active member of the MAC community. She has been a part of our MAC choir and tennis and served last year as a Student Council vice president. She is also a member of the Spanish National Honor Society. This year, Marcela has chosen to focus her attention on her role as a Student Council president, as well as focusing on her rigorous course load and preparing for graduation in college. Marcela is accompanied tonight by her mother, Rosa Castro, yes, and her father, Omar Castro, Omar Ordóñez, sorry, perdón. And also present is her sister, Pamela. Leading the pledges tonight is MAC senior Angie Espicia. Angie is the vice president of the MAC Student Council. She's an active member who is dedicated to being involved in her school, church, and in her community. Angie's a member of the National Honor Society and the Spanish National Honor Society. She's been a member of the MAC choir and also leads worship at her church. Angie is accompanied tonight by her mother, Ed.D. Espicia, her sisters, Evelyn and Ashley, a former and current MAC student, and her brother, Ociel, a freshman at ISA. Could not be here. Her father was going to be here. He could not make it either. And her friend Hugo Huerta. So right now it is my pleasure to present Marcela Ordóñez, who will do the invocation, and then Angie Espicia, who will do the pledges.
Thank you.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, members of the executive staff, and guests, good evening. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Can we please bow our heads? Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a district and nurture the bonds of the community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the students, staff, faculty, alumni, and friends of NEISD. And continue to remind us that all we do here today and all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of the truth for the greater glory of you and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you and good evening. Please rise with me as we do the Pledge of Allegiance and honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Marcella and Angie, would you please come forward? We have certificates for you, and Mr. Wheat and Dr. Gottardy would like to take a picture with you. Mr. Martinez, would you like to come forward too, please? Thank you so much for being here. You're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to go because I'm sure you have homework and all that. But thank you again. We really appreciate you being here. Item 6, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments. No action. Item 2, possible action regarding proposed recommendation for termination of Chapter 21 probationary contract employee. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Jaso. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 3, principal of Johnson High School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hughey. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Jaso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 4, principal of Roosevelt High School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 5, principal of Thousand Oaks Elementary. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 6, Executive Director of School Administration. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hughey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 7, introductions. Dr. Gottardy.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen. Last month's board meeting, we hired a new assistant principal for Eisenhower Middle School, and tonight he is being formally introduced, Mr. John Gallardo. John joined the Northeast family in 2014. Prior to being named an assistant principal at Eisenhower, he was a teacher, athletic coordinator at Ed White Middle School. Mr. Gallardo received a bachelor's degree in physical education in 1990 from the University of North Texas. He earned a master's degree in educational administration in 2014 from Texas A&M University, San Antonio. Mr. Gallardo has 24 years in education. Congratulations, John. It is my honor and my privilege this evening to introduce, and these people I don't think are in the audience, but I want to make announcements about our new positions that the board just formally approved. Our new principal of Johnson High School is Mr. Gary Comelander. New principal of Roosevelt High School, Mr. Brian Norwood. New executive director for school administration is Dr. Justin Oxley. And our new principal of Thousand Oaks Elementary School is Holly Salazar. Congratulations to all these people, and we will bring them back next month and formally introduce them.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Item B, possible action on the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072, no action. Item C, possible action regarding consultation with board's attorney pursuant to Government Code Section 551.071, 1, pending and/or possible litigation, no action. Item 7, recognitions. A, Northeast Sports Park 2018 Excellence in Construction Award. Mr. Clary.
Madam President, members of the board, Gottardy, executive staff, and guests, Mr. Sullivan is making his way to the podium for this presentation.
Ms. Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, members of the executive staff, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure this evening that we celebrate the receipt of the first construction award for the 2015 bond program. To present the award for the Northeast Sports Park Facility Improvements Project, we have in attendance this evening several individuals I'd like to recognize. Representing the general contractor, if they could just stand in their seats, or at their seats. Marksman General Contractor, we have Mr. Zach Shearhart, Chief Operating Officer for the firm. Mr. Sean Devine, the Northeast Sports Park Project Manager. And the design team, PBK Architects, we have Mr. Trey Schneider, President of PBK Sports. Mr. Mark Mancheca, Associate Architect with PBK Sports. And Mr. Frank De La Rosa, who was the project architect with PBK Architects. Each of these individuals was instrumental in the success of the project moving from the design phase through construction. The Northeast Sports Park project consisted of two main elements: upgrades and renovations to the outdoor pool and supporting aquatic facilities, and development of a new competition baseball stadium facility. The overall project cost $13.2 million, with the pool and aquatics upgrades representing $3.7 million, or 28% of the project cost, and the new baseball stadium facility accounting for $9.5 million, or 72% of the project cost. It took us 28 months to plan, design, and construct the project, which began in June of 2016 and concluded in October of 2018. The pool area has been in use since the summer of 2017. And I'm told by David Johnson, the aquatics director, that the students prefer swimming in the outdoor pool over Josh Davis or Walker Pool. That's their favorite pool to swim in. And the baseball stadium facilities, which were completed in October of this year, will see their first competition play in early February of next year when baseball season kicks off. If I could ask Mrs. Grona, the board president, and Dr. Gottardy, our superintendent of schools, to come forward, please. And if I could ask Mr. Shearhart and Mr. Schneider to come forward, please. Right in the middle. All right, the Northeast Sports Park Facilities project was recognized by the Associated Builders and Contractors Association with the 2018 Excellence in Construction Award as the best institutional project in the city in the 10 to 25 million category. And this is the award we're going to present to you this evening. Thank you. These awards are pretty tough to come by. I think the last time we earned an award was in the 2011 bond program about 5 years ago, so we're really proud of the fact that we had such a great design and such a great contractor to build the facilities.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, if I could have the following folks come forward to be recognized by the board. So we have Mr. Zach Shearhart with Marksman General Contractors. Mr. Sean Devine, I think, is next with Marksman General Contractors, Project Manager. Mr. Trey Schneider, PBK Sports. Mark Mancheca with PBK Sports. And finally, Frank De La Rosa with PBK Architects.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's very exciting. Appreciate all your help with that. Item 8, presentations. A, School Board Recognition Month. Dr. Gottardy.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen. This is not going to be a very long presentation. I'm just making the announcement that January is School Board Recognition Month, and we all want to thank our school board members for the job that they do each and every day for the Northeast Independent School District. We'll be bringing back to you some kind of a presentation at the January board meeting. But just to let everyone know, School Board Recognition Month for January. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item B, Gordon Hartman Family Foundation Project Update. Mr. Clary.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests, excuse me. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce Mr. Gordon Hartman, a great friend to Northeast ISD. Mr. Hartman is here tonight to give an update to the board on some going-ons at his location next to Hero Stadium. Mr. Hartman.
Thank you very much, Madam President, board members, Superintendent, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and members that are present. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to give you a brief update. But before I do that, I would like to first thank the school district for what it has done for the many years that y'all have been our neighbors across the street from Heroes Stadium over at Morgan's Wonderland and Morgan's Inspiration Island. Back in 2011, we were looking to build a school, which ultimately is now today called the Academy at Morgan's Wonderland and also the Bridge at Morgan's Wonderland. And when we came to the school district for assistance, you guys were there for us. When in 2012, we made the decision to get involved in soccer in an aggressive way and build Toyota Field, the school district was there for us in Soccer for a Cause, which brought ultimately about $7 million to assist special needs individuals in this community. About a year ago, y'all worked with us in respect to developing a plan for improvement north of Hero Stadium for Morgan's Wonderland Sports, which will be a facility to assist those with special needs, both with cognitive and physical special needs, to be able to play sports of basketball, softball, baseball, tennis, soccer, football, and pickleball. Again, this board and this school district was always there willing to help us, and we very much appreciate that. In addition, as y'all may or may not know, the Special Olympics has been in Texas for 49 years, but has never been in San Antonio. But the 50th anniversary will be here in San Antonio, and the Olympic Village will be Morgan's Wonderland. Some 12,000 people from around the state will be coming to San Antonio for the first time for the 50th anniversary. This would not have been possible either if it had not been for this school district and the leadership of everybody on your staffs working with us, the Special Olympics, and many others to be able to make that possible. So again, I thank you. The reason I'm here tonight is to continue working with the school district in an effort to assist those with special needs. We are in the development of 3 different projects at the moment. One which I mentioned earlier, and also to build a Morgan's Wonderland camp, which will be located about 15 minutes away from Morgan's Wonderland. It will be a 100-acre camp that will be opening in 2021. But separate from that, across the street from Morgan's Wonderland and next to Hero Stadium, we will be developing the MAC, or the Multi-Assistance Center. It will be a center that will be developed for the purposes of assisting those with special needs, both with a medical home, working with therapies, and also detriments to health through different types of work that we can do within the community to assist those with special needs that otherwise would be forgotten. To do that, we need to build some office buildings, or buildings for the MAC, which will be known as the MAC, which is shown there in front of you, or I don't know if it's in front of you or on the screen, showing 4 buildings. We plan to develop that 6-acre tract there in front of Hero Stadium. The first building will consist of the second building from the north, which will be approximately 90,000 square feet, which will be known as the MAC Building Number 1. And that will be built and open in late 2021. The purpose of why I'm here tonight is to request that we enter into an agreement that we have been working with Mr. Clary and also Dr. Gottardy on, and being able to lease the parking lot at Hero Stadium for the purposes of not just building number 1, but the future buildings as well. This will allow for us to be able to build these buildings over the next, as mentioned, from 2021 and about 5 years thereafter, taking us to about 2026 for an ultimate plan of building about 280,000 square feet. All the square footage will be dedicated to assisting those with special needs, and a program that has never been done anywhere in this country in respect to how you bring about a coordination, an advocacy, a navigation to get people who have special needs through the whole process of insurance, of medical needs, et cetera. This will be a whole new approach, a whole new idea, very similar to what Morgan's Wonderland and Morgan's Inspiration Island is about, something that has never existed before, but now we'll be doing that in the medical and therapeutic areas. If this board approves this, this will allow for this project to go forward. Again, y'all have been there for us, and all these other projects that we have done since we opened Morgan's Wonderland in 2010, and we hope that we can continue working with you on this particular project as well. I'm open to answer any questions that the board members may have.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Hartman? Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. This is just the most incredible, touching project I've seen in a long time. So thank you very, very much for this.
I agree.
Ms. Williams?
I just want to ditto what's already been said, and just a little bit of clarification. How many parking spaces are
Yeah.
needed?
In the area that we're calling for, that's on the exhibit to the document, it's about 720 parking spaces. I may be off a little bit, Mr. Clary, is that, I believe that's correct. Yeah, I believe it's right at 720. As y'all know, 99.9% of the time, that parking lot is not utilized. And so we'll be, so when you're not using it, we would be in effect using it. And, one thing I did want to mention also, the beauty, as y'all know, the land around the stadium is zoned ED, or entertainment district. And basically, an entertainment district is probably one of the easiest or most lax zoning districts that you can have. There could be a bar, there could be a lot of different things going in front of the stadium. By us being able to proceed forward with this, I can tell you that I can guarantee you there will be never any alcohol at any of these facilities.
And the buildings are not housing, just services.
No, they're not housing.
Right.
There was no one ever going to be housed there. They're going to be for the purposes of having people come
Providing
in,
services.
being able to go through assistance, to be able to get through, navigate through, learning how to get insurance, how to be able to make doctor appointments, how to be able to follow through on things. And then a lot of the work itself, many of the therapies and some of the medical home work will be done within the buildings themselves, but no one will ever stay overnight in any of those buildings.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This was just a presentation, and we'll actually have the action item where we approve it under in our new business.
If I may, Ms. Grona, I want to thank Gordon and his entire corporation. I want to thank Mr. Clary, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Hartman is absolutely right. We've been working with him on different ventures for a number of years, and it has always been a real honor and real privilege to partner with the Gordon Hartman Foundation and all the things that Gordon brings to that area. And it's going to be a real win-win, I think, for the city of San Antonio, but it's also going to be a good thing for the Northeast Independent School District. Many of the things that Mr. Hartman builds and operates he's always very welcoming and opening to every student and every class and every school in this district to exercise, go over to Morgan's Wonderland, or whatever the case might be, to include these new fields and these new sporting venues that he's building. So we're looking for some great partnerships with Gordon Hartman Foundation in the upcoming years. Thank you, Gordon, for being here.
I appreciate that, Dr. Gottardy. If I may add, many of the students from Northeast School District go to our educational field trips throughout the year. which we do not charge for. And also, as mentioned about the new sports venue that we'll be building, you'll have approximately, give or take, I don't know the exact number, about 6,500 special needs students within your different schools. This will now give them an opportunity to have a place that they can call home and be able to have activities that otherwise they cannot have anywhere else. No fields of this magnitude exist anywhere else that I know of, even in the state. So it's something a little special, not only for those with special needs, but also for the school district as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Has there been any discussion on our students that have just started at our new facilities at Parent Central, at Parent Bottle, about working with the Hartman Foundation at the MAC?
There has not been any current discussions about that, Mrs. Hughey. That's something that we can always entertain in the future. But if you're asking for some of our kiddos that are getting certified in different educational fields or different career and technology fields, that we could also, when it's appropriate, to get them additional hours in training, whether it's here or whether it's other places. Absolutely, that's something that we will continue to talk about.
Well, because I noticed the MAC was going to have dental and a couple of other fields that seem to mesh pretty well with what our students are going to be learning there at CTRC.
We'll have to give Mr. Hardman a tour of our
that,
career and
yes.
tech facility right now, where we're actually training students in a number of different fields to include dental, medical, EMT. I mean, there's opportunities for the future to actually have students partner and get additional certification time and hours. So we'll continue to have that discussion.
I would welcome the opportunity to do that. I mean, the beauty is that this school district has definitely opened its arms to wanting to assist those with special needs. And if
Definitely.
some of these students would like to learn ways in which that they can possibly, as they go forward in the medical field or other fields, therapeutic fields, et cetera, we'd be happy to work with them in the MAC. And so this process is just starting, but it's about ready to be a major plus, not only for this community, but people outside this community who will be able to come here for assistance who have special needs.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for your vision.
Thank you.
Item 9, new business for possible board action. A, board policy. 1, possible action regarding board policy FFAC local, second and final reading. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. This is the second reading, final reading also of that policy that talks about epinephrine. And I have Steve Tovar here if there's any detailed questions you might
Okay.
need.
Does anybody have questions about this? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the second and final reading of the attached board policy FFAC local as submitted?
Summoned.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that Ms. Williams?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you. Item B, resolutions. 1, possible action regarding Mentor Month. Ms. Chancellor.
Madam President, board members, executive staff, and guests, I'd like to ask Brooke Pate, our volunteer resource manager, to come to the podium and address this item.
Good evening. I almost said good morning.
I hope not.
The month of January 2019 has been designated as National Mentor Month. Whereas NEISD students benefit greatly when community, business, and parents actively participate in children's intellectual, emotional, and social growth by supporting them. Whereas these unique partners in education provide mentors for students at all levels, kindergarten through 12th grade, with many opportunities to learn skills, succeed academically, acquire knowledge, and make wise choices. Whereas these mentors represent local business leaders, employees from large and small businesses, community leaders, community volunteers, parents, neighborhood volunteers, and patrons that support the Northeast Independent School District. Whereas mentors work to positively impact students by social and career mentoring, job shadowing, tutoring, working with junior achievement, serving at-risk students, promoting a drug-free environment, supporting ecology, encouraging athletics and arts, assisting educators, and showing children that they care about their education. Whereas these mentors, together with special teachers and administrators, create a great learning environment in our school district. Members of the board, because of the enormous efforts of all of our mentors and our volunteers, I'm asking for your support of the Mentor Month resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pate. Anybody have any comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the attached resolution recognizing January 2019 as Mentor Month?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item C, Instruction and Campus Administration. 1, possible action regarding 2019-2020 proposed District of Innovation school calendar. Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. Colleen Borman is at the podium to address this item.
Good evening. Tonight, we're seeking approval for the 2019-2020 school calendar. This is a District of Innovation calendar. This recommendation does come as a result of our campuses voting. 88% of the campuses preferred option A, and it also comes as a recommendation from DEIC. It does contain 187 days for teachers with 177 days for students. The uniqueness of this is we will begin August 19th, and we will end May 29th. Questions?
God bless you.
Bless you. Does anybody have any questions about the calendar options?
Great job.
Yes. Happy to end in May.
Great job.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the 2019-2020 proposed option A calendar as the traditional school calendar?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Borman. Item 2, possible action regarding addition of state and/or Commissioner of Education approved innovative courses for agri-science program at Madison. Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. Mr. Ben Peterson, our senior director for career and technical education, will address this item.
Good evening. We're coming to you this evening to ask for approval on 2 innovative courses that we'll be introducing at Madison's Ag Arena. One is Ag Leadership, Research and Communications. This class takes Ag students and turns them into Ag leaders. They learn to conduct meetings, deliver speeches, utilize effective advocacy methods, and evaluate Ag materials. The second one is one you might be a little more familiar with. It's Advanced Floral Design. We currently have floral design there at Madison. It's a very popular class. We're looking to add an advanced floral design class to help with a $30 billion industry and hopefully get students certified in that industry.
Wow.
Happy to answer any questions you guys might have in regards to those courses.
So I have a question. What's the difference between basic floral design and advanced floral design?
I'm glad you asked. So in advanced floral design, students learn advanced floral concepts with emphasis on specialty designs and specific occasion planning. There's an emphasis on budgeting and entrepreneurial skills needed for success in the floral enterprise.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
One other quick question. Any budget consequences for the district to be worried about?
No, sir, not much. It would be from my budget, and they do a good job of raising funds on their own with the designs they sell.
So the budget's already approved and you expect to be able
Yes,
to
sir.
cover it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything else? All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the innovative courses as presented?
So,
Thank you, Mrs. Hughey. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Peterson. Item D, Operations 1, possible action regarding parking agreement at Hero Stadium with the Multi-Assistance Center at Morgan's Wonderland, MAC. Mr. Clary.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests, this is the agreement that Mr. Hartman referred to. Just a couple of highlights is that the first 10 years of the contract of the agreement, Mr. Hartman will pay the district $15,000 a year. The second 10 years, he will pay $20,000 a year. And then after the 20th year, we will then renegotiate for future further use after that. One thing I don't think he really mentioned in his presentation is that the MAC is an 8 to 5 type operation. It's not something that will typically interfere with any of our activities in the evening. If we do have something there during the day, like a track meet, they are willing and certainly will work with us around those options. So I ask for your approval on this tonight.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about that? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the agreement with the Multi-Assistance Center at Morgan's Wonderland, a Texas nonprofit corporation?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hughey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you. Item 2, possible action regarding 2015 Bond High School Campus Facilities Safety and Security Upgrades Project, perimeter fencing and gates, bid authorization approval. Mr. Clary?
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests, Mr. Solomon is making his way to the podium to make this presentation.
It went away on the screen.
Oh,
There it is back. All right, good.
well, it's on my screen.
Ms. Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests, it's my pleasure this evening to talk about some additional safety and security upgrades that we would like to pursue in the district with your permission. So this presentation is going to discuss the first project of several that we're going to be bringing to you as how we would like to spend some of the $15 million global contingency fund to improve safety and security at our campuses. This is the agenda we're going to follow this evening. All right, this project is going to be designed in-house by our planning and design department. That's going to save us a little bit of money. We don't have to hire an architect. We have folks that are in our department that are registered architects that can easily perform the requirements of the architect and come up with our designs to provide these additional safety and security initiatives. Additionally, we would like to pursue the project by using contractors that are already under contract to the district. A number of these contractors that you see listed there are already working at our high school campuses, and this project is focused on our high school safety and security initiatives. And so that's going to make it a smoother transition from design through construction, since we already have contractors on site at most of these facilities. All right, the objective of the project. This first project is to essentially create an interior perimeter at the school, so students and staff, when they circulate outside the buildings, are not as concerned about running into a stranger that has penetrated the interior, because we currently have no way to keep visitors that want to go inside the school grounds from going in there. I mean, there's no, once you walk onto the campus, if you leave the parking lot, you can find your way in almost all schools, probably except for Roosevelt. You can find your way into interior courtyards, and you can just be there when students pass during passing periods and so forth. So by building this interior perimeter fence with gates, it provides a barrier that somebody would have to breach in order to get inside the area that we're going to call our secure perimeter inside. We're looking at a 6-foot-high chain link fence or decorative metal fence. The decorative metal fence will be reserved for the front of the school, so we can make it a nicer, more appealing entrance. The gates are required to have panic hardware in order so that if students are exiting the building, like for a fire alarm drill or something like that, that they can get out, but the gates lock automatically from the outside. So to get in, you're going to need to have a proxy tag. Or we'll have similar systems like we have at the front doors now at the campus, where we can visually see the person that's trying to gain access, maybe during a non-normal time, and then they can buzz them in by releasing the magnetic lock on the gate. We've got one campus, Churchill, where there's a parking lot that's on the interior part of the school by the ROTC building that we're going to need to put in an automatic vehicular gate so that people can park in the parking lot, yet that parking lot can be secured because it's in the interior perimeter of the campus. We anticipate this project is going to cost $1.875 million. This is an example of a chain link fence. This will be, most of the fencing will be of this material. We did look at the difference between an 8-foot and a 6-foot chain link fence and felt the 8-foot was too tall. We felt the 6-foot was, I'm about 6 feet tall, so the person would have to vault over the fence. It's going to take some effort. Not that it can't be done, but it's going to create a level of difficulty that people can't just walk in. They're going to have to make an effort if they want to come in a manner that isn't through the front door. They're going to have to find a way to breach the fence. Here at Roosevelt, we actually have some decorative metal fence that was installed with the original 2003 bond project when we did the new science building. And that's an example of the ornamental metal fence. As far as our gates, these are photos at some of our schools. You can see on the top left-hand photo, that's what the gate looks like from the outside, so it's locked. But on the inside, you notice there's panic hardware, and there's a netting, a wire mesh, woven wire mesh partition screen that's applied in front of the fence gate, so you can't just reach through and then open the panic hardware to gain access. But people can easily exit, but people can't easily enter. You'll see on the top photograph, we've got a proxy tag reader on the right-hand masonry column, and then there's a security camera above. We could also use the same type of system we have at our front doors with the sensor and the video monitor. Serve the same purpose, so that people that come up maybe during a non-regular time, maybe the school's already started and they're arriving late, they can come up, announce themselves, and then somebody at the front office can open the gate and they can gain access, and then the gate will automatically close and lock. This is an example of the automatic vehicular gate, which is intended to be used at the Churchill campus because of the interior parking lot. The next series of slides I'm just going to show you, we've thought through and investigated at each campus. Our planning and design staff has met with each high school principal, along with the chief of police and our safety department, to come up with the best alignment of where to put the fences and the gates and what would be in the best interest of the campus to create this interior secured perimeter. So the first campus, Churchill. The green area shows what would become the secured interior perimeter. And the fencing essentially is going to surround that green area, connecting to existing buildings or existing fences that are at the campus. And the campus principals have limited the number of entry points, so it's easy to control. Not too few that it's going to make it difficult for people to get it in, but not too many that it's wide open and you have gates all over the place. Johnson High School. The green area again represents the secured interior perimeter. We would anticipate in the orange area here, this would be the ornamental fence, since this is a courtyard with a view to the parking lot, versus along the blue line here, this would be more of the chain link fence. This is Lee High School and ISA. Again, the secure interior perimeter is shown in green. And again, we would anticipate here also the ornamental fence, because this is the main front door to NEISD and our theater that has a lot of visitors coming in after hours. MacArthur High School. In this case, because we already have some existing fencing that runs along the perimeter of the school, it encompasses not only the interior of the school, but also these sports fields areas. At Madison High School, we have the main campus, which is in the foreground here. And then at the back of the school to the west, we have agri-science, so two separate campuses or areas within the campus. So this is the main campus. Again, encompasses the main facilities as well as most of the sports fields. And this driveway here is also a pedestrian walk that students use to get to the Agri-Science Center, which is off to the screen to the left. And then this is the Agri-Science perimeter fencing. Reagan High School. We have the interior facilities here shown in the green. And then finally, Roosevelt High School. Roosevelt, because when we set the campus up way back, we're talking about 15 years ago, there was a lot of gang activity. So when we did this design, we put up a lot of fencing at the perimeter to keep the gangs from infiltrating the school during the day. So there's not as much work we have to do at Roosevelt to create the secure interior perimeter because a lot of the fencing already exists. But we do need to add some. And this was that ornamental metal fence where that blue line is that you saw in that photo earlier in the presentation. Again, we're anticipating a total cost of $1,875,000. Our timeline is, with your permission this evening, to move forward. We're going to solicit bids from our contractors in the January timeframe, come back to you in February to award contracts, begin construction in March, and our goal is to have all the fencing work installed and ready to go for the start of the 2019 school year. We think that's very achievable with your authorization to proceed this evening. Now, how does this fit in financially to our bond program? So this is a quick review. Some of board members may have not seen this information before that I used to present the financial status of the bond program. So for some, this will be the first time. For others, you probably have seen this type of a presentation format before, but I'll go through it. On this slide, there's going to be 4 or 5 of these has started. The second column from the left is the project description, project name. The third column from the left is the program cost. That's the total cost, design fees, FF&E, construction, everything involved in producing that project and completing it. In the fourth column from the left, you have the program budget. That's the amount of money that was allocated in the bond program to do that project. And in the far right-hand column, you have whether or not the project is under budget, green with white numbers, or over budget, orange with black numbers. We did bring over a contingency from the 2011 bond of a little under $825,000 as our starting point. And as I've talked to you all before, I'll use the principle of the Goldilocks philosophy. When we design our bond programs years ago, because we started the bond program design back in 2014, it's now almost 2019, we have to anticipate construction costs and fees 4 and 5 years in the future. In doing so, if we do a good job, at the end of the bond program, we should have monies left over. But along the way, we're going to have some projects that are going to be just right. As an example, here you can see this project here. Let me get my mouse to work. The CT Center Diesel Mechanic Shop, our estimate was $1,445,000. It came in at $1,432,000. We were off by $12,000. So the porridge is just right. We're going to have projects where we underestimated the cost, like the warehouse project. Came in at 7.9. We estimated 6.9, so we were short $976,000. And then we have projects like the Comer Stadium bleacher replacement project. We estimated $12.5 million, it cost us $10.3 million. We saved $2 million. So we're going to have some projects where the porridge is too hot, i.e. it came in over budget, some too cold, came in under budget, some just right. But if we've done a good job, this is all going to work itself out, and at the end, we're going to have money left, which is exactly what we have. We have about $16+ million of money reserved, and every project has been bid out except for Montgomery, which was recently added. The scope was enhanced, and so that project's in design. So this is a running tally of each project. I'm going to highlight for you two things on this, or one thing on this first slide, just for your information. This project listed in the red box, you'll see in the consent agenda, is to resurface some high school tennis courts at 3 facilities. It's a new project. We're asking you also to approve this. I don't have a presentation for it, but it's just to resurface some tennis courts that Ms. Funk felt were in need of resurfacing, and the bond money has funds, and the C.P.A. thought it was a good idea, so we recommend it for your consideration tonight. I just highlight it there because it's there, but you'll see it in the consent agenda. If you see a blue box on the project, it means it was a SEAM at risk contract. We have 11 of those. Those typically are our more expensive projects. Yellow are our RFCSP, request for competitive proposal. The tan color are our DOC or JOC contracts. And the purple are design build, where we hire the contractor to be both the architect and the contractor. We had some periods where we had, we hit almost every project under budget. It was a good run. As we come to the end, you'll see that we have construction contingency of $1,850,000. That's what I control to do the day-to-day business of managing each of the construction projects that's active. We had $15 million in the global contingency, which is the contingency that the board and superintendent controls, but we're recommending tonight to spend some of that money. We're recommending to spend $1,875,000 on this additional safety and security, and the $250,000 for the high school tennis court. So our $15 million is going to now be $12,875,000 as we move forward. Combined with the $1,850,000, that's the construction contingency, we have overall a little under $15 million in unallocated funds that can be used for any purpose that the school board sees fit to make improvements or other requirements for the facilities in the district. So tonight we're asking for your approval to do this additional safety and security project using some of the global contingency funds. These are our first expenditures out of the global contingency since the bond program began some 4 years ago. So our recommendation this evening is to allow us to move forward with the perimeter fencing and gate safety and security project at the 7 high school campuses, but it also includes ISA, our 8th high school, co-located at Lee. As shown, using a budget of $1,875,000 from the Global Contingency Fund, with the timeline of construction being essentially next year, completing by August school start of 2019. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on this first project.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that should future bonds pass in the phases that Churchill, there's, I think, 3 phases that they're going through with tearing buildings down, erecting new buildings. Will any of your fencing, particularly on the side where the CT building is and the ABC building is, will any of that fencing then have to be reconstructed? Because now the plans that I saw, I guess 2 years ago, was that they would move that ABC building into the band parking lot, the
That's
parking
exactly
lot
right.
between
So we're going to have to make some adjustments to the fence if in the future bond, the Churchill project, the final phase,
right.
which we anticipate is going to be included, is in fact included by the bond committee.
So all
Just along that one section of the campus. The rest of the
Okay.
campus doesn't have to change at all.
Okay, thank you.
So I think the cost impact to the bond program will be minimal to do that, but
It's just one side.
that project is a long ways away.
Yes.
You figure if we don't have a bond until 20 or 2021, it's going to take us 18 months to design it. Now we're in 2023. We bid it out, we start construction. We're talking about at least 5 or 6 years from now before that project is even going to materialize, if it's included in the next bond program.
Gotcha.
But minimal impact.
Any other questions?
I have one just from a security perspective. So what's the plan, or what is assumed? So if we have the fence have the fences constructed, if someone during the day decides they want to climb over, how are there cameras anywhere that would pick
We
up.
do have cameras, but when you have 3,000 students in passing period, it probably will be difficult to pick out an intruder from a student or staff and faculty. It'll just be up to the staff and faculty and the students, if they see somebody that doesn't have proper badging, to report them so that they can be handled.
Okay.
The idea is to make it more difficult for intruders to gain access to the interior of the school than it currently is, which is it's wide open. You can just walk in any school we got in the courtyard. There's nothing that stops you in terms of a barrier.
And so I guess the plan maybe would be to have folks, I guess, watching the perimeter at some point. I mean, just, you know, again, if you wanted to climb the fence, and let's say it was in the middle of a class period where folks may not be walking around as much.
Right.
You know, would that be obvious or, you know?
I think somebody that's not supposed to be there is going to stand out, and the students and staff are going to be able to identify them. Because even construction workers have hard hats on, they have an access badge. If they're supposed to be there, they have proper identification to be there. So if you have somebody there that doesn't have any kind of badge or identification, they're going to stand out as amongst the rest of the faculty or students, in my opinion. But everybody has to be vigilant.
Mr. Hossel, I would agree with what Gary just said. The fencing project is what we think is the very next best layer of safety and security. But in the end, it is very difficult to prevent a bad person from doing bad things. So awareness by everyone, teachers, students, all the employees, community, business, it's all very, very important. We just think that the fencing is one more layer that will definitely make an impact. I will tell you that it's just like locking the doors this year. It has been I think it's been a fantastic next layer for us to do to prevent some kind of bad thing from taking place. But really and truly, as anxious as everybody was about locking the doors, it's gone off very well. Our campus administrators have done a great job of implementing it. So I think the fencing is a great help and a great aid to help the administration at each of the schools manage the environment.
Well, it might be a deterrent, make it harder for somebody.
And that's a great point, Dr. Gottardy, is managing the environment. Because right now, like Gary has said, anybody could wander onto our campus and freely, you know, just because there's no barriers to keep them from doing that. Will a 6-foot fence keep somebody from getting on the campus? Well, if you're been on, you know, getting on campus, it probably won't. But it's going to be an effort to do so, and just help our campuses control and what's going on inside the perimeter of the campus. So I think it's a great next step, and you know, short of putting razor wire on top, you know, to where they look like prisons, I think this is will be a big help to keep people off our campuses.
Anybody else? Okay. So do I have a motion to approve use of 2015 bond global contingency funds to provide additional safety and security upgrades at high school facilities, perimeter fencing and gates, with a project budget equal to $1,875,000. Additionally, it's recommended that use of the TXMAS Cooperative Purchasing Agreement District Job Order Contract Number 80-15 as needed, General Building Repairs and Renovations, District Job Order Contract Number 80-18 as needed, General Repairs and Services of School Facilities, and District Job Order Contract Number 75-15 as needed, Security Alarm and Technical Building Systems Repairs and Renovations. Bid delivery methods be authorized for construction of the perimeter fencing and gates at district high school facilities.
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that?
I tried to go slowly.
By law,
I
we
know I
have,
speak
by
really
law, we
quickly.
have to announce the bid delivery method, so I'm sorry that was so long.
Did I do okay?
You did great.
So can I have a motion?
So move all of that, what you just said.
And can I have a second?
I second.
Can I say, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Yes.
Just want to stress that we will now be going to our middle schools and assessing them, and also to our elementaries. So we'll be bringing back more down the road.
This is the first step.
But high schools, being the big animal as they are, we tackled them first, and now we'll move down to the middle and elementary.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clary. Item 3, possible action regarding 2015 bond Nimitz Middle School Fine Arts Addition and Renovations Project Bid Award Approval. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my pleasure to present the recommendation for award of the construction contract for the Nimitz Middle School Fine Arts Project. This is the agenda we're going to follow. At this point, I'd like to make a few introductions. With us this evening, we have Mr. Lowell Tacker, principal partner with LPA, who is our project architect. And behind him, we have Mr. Blaine Beckman and Mr. Greg Vaughn with the F.A. Nunley Company, who are the general contractors that we're recommending to you this evening for this project. And I will highlight the fact that they won an award this year as the best general contractor in San Antonio.
Awesome, congratulations.
So, and they're currently doing our Madison JROTC facility project. This is an aerial view of Nimitz Middle School. The area that we're going to be focusing this project on is on that corner where Blanco Road meets Jackson Keller. That's where the Nimitz Middle School Fine Arts Auditorium and existing band, choir, and orchestra facilities are located. I'd like to highlight in these photos that the current facilities that are beyond the main academic building are connected with a series of covered walkways. You can see the covered walkway from the main academic building goes all the way out to the bus drop-off area, and then there's a covered walkway that connects over here to the orchestra facility. These are the current facilities. We have existing orchestra, which we built in the 2011 bond program. It had been in a portable, but last bond we built them a standalone building for orchestra. We have in the second building choir co-located with band. And then in the auditorium, vintage the 1960s, we have an auditorium area in lieu of a cafetorium. At our newest schools, we have an auditorium cafetorium complex together that also provides space for their theater arts program. At our newest schools, we have a black box theater separate from the cafetorium. But here, these are all they have to work with. So in this bond program, the goal was to build a new band and choir facility, repurpose, and in that vein, repurpose the existing band choir facility for theater arts, to renovate the existing auditorium area. Right now, as you saw in the earlier photograph, the outside wall on both the left and right side of the theater is windows, and on the inside they have curtains. So it's not the best setting for doing plays and other types of performances. We're going to brick in the windows and create a better environment for their performances. Their current restrooms are not ADA compliant, so we're going to build new restrooms and provide a public lobby for access to the theater. Our goal was to enclose the 4 separate facilities. By adding the new band and choir, we have a 5th facility with a series of enclosed connecting corridors, because currently they just have open-air breezeways. And then we would need to do various site improvements, landscape, irrigation, drainage, site utilities, and a hardscape, which is your concrete walkways, to tie this all together. Overall, the project had around little under 16,000 square feet of new facilities, and then the work in the auditorium for the renovations. We had a budget for this project of $6.25 million, and unfortunately, I'm just going to tell you the porridge was too hot. We came in way over budget, about $2 million over budget. We didn't have enough money budgeted to do what we wanted to do. So we looked at ways to provide savings to the project. So we didn't just come to you with the project's over budget, this is what it is. We have three options we'd like to present to you this evening. We're going to give you the staff recommendation and the CBAC recommendation for you all to consider before we decide what's option we're going to award. So the difference between the options, bid option number 1 maintains essentially the covered walkways that we currently have between band, choir, orchestra, theater arts, auditorium, and the main academic building. We build a new band and choir facility, and we have 5 buildings that are connected with covered walkways, and that project is only over budget by about $900,000, which includes value engineering of $190,000, $7.1 million. Bid option number 2, we build some more covered, we built some more enclosed corridors, but we still have covered walkways between orchestra, theater arts, and the main academic building. That project cost a little bit more, $7.36 million. It also includes the same value engineering of $190,000 that was in bid option number 1. Bid option number 3, the most expensive option, which was our base bid on bid day, fully encloses all the facilities with interior connecting corridors and creates a secure interior connection to the main academic building. Total cost of that option with the value engineering shown, $8,087,050. So what do these options look like? So here's option number 1. We build the new band and choir, renovate the auditorium, and the difference is we don't have interior connecting corridors in most locations. The only area we're going to have the interior connecting corridor is in front of the theater, and that's what this option looks like. So we've got open air breezeways at the main entrance to the main academic building, open air breezeways between orchestra and theater arts, open air breezeway next to the theater between the new band and choir facility, and the only place we have an enclosed corridor is in front of the restrooms and the theater. That's our least expensive option, $7.1 million. And this was the value engineering list that we came up with. Let me just talk briefly about value engineering because it's included in the options. When we met with the contractor and the design team after we got our first round of bids, we asked the contractor, who's an expert in construction, hey, do you have any ideas on how we can be more cost effective but not in any way inhibit the quality of the final product? There's more than one way to build something, so the contractor gave us some ideas. We met with him. We accepted some. You'll see on this list, the first 2 ideas we said no. 4 and 5 we said no. Some we accepted, and some we didn't accept, based on what we've done in other projects and what's just good quality construction. So that's the idea behind the value engineering. It still provides you a good quality installation, but provides you some cost savings. All right, option number 2. Same as option number 1, except we created another enclosed corridor between the theater and the new band and choir facility. So what does that look like? So now we've created another enclosed corridor between our new building and our new public restrooms and lobby. So now everything south of this line is enclosed, and we have open air breezeways to orchestra, theater arts, and to the main academic building. So we're about 50% enclosed, and we've still got some open air breezeways. This cost went up by about $260,000 to $7.36 million. And then same value engineering we just saw, $190,000. In option number 3, we get it all. We have the new band and choir, renovate the auditorium, and all the corridors, including connecting to the main academic building, are enclosed, which would be typical of what we have at a new school. I mean, if you go to a fine arts facility in one of our new schools, it's all enclosed. You don't leave the building to go to the fine arts program. You're in the building as you move from classrooms to fine arts and vice versa. So everything is, when the time you leave the main academic building, you're in an enclosed corridor to all the separate facilities. That's the most safe and secure option. It's the most expensive option at $8,087,000. And this VE list is a little bit more extensive because this starts now from the base bid that we had originally and works down. And the two other options that were developed after we bid the project originally with the contractor, we started with a lot of these VE incorporated and added to it. So to lay it out sequentially for you, here you have in the far left-hand column the bid option, the initial cost from the contractor, the value engineering that the district thought was in the best interest of the project, the revised cost by applying the value engineering, how that project budget compares to the base budget, how far over budget we are, and how the bond construction contingency, not the global contingency, the contingency that I control that manages our day-to-day construction projects, how it is affected by the choice that we make. So if you were to approve base bid or post bid option 1, you're going to increase the construction contingency by over $1 million, but you're going to have a facility that's going to have a lot of open air breezeways. We have a great group of subcontractors that we ended up with as a result of going through this process with the contractor. These are just 2 slides that show you the group of contractors that are part of this bid. We've got an A-plus team on our MEP contractors, mechanical electrical plumbing. You want a good MEP, you want a good roofer, you want a good concrete. Those are some of the, and steel. Those are some of the bigger bid packages. So, looking at this as compared to our original schematic plan, you can see bid alternate number 1 was enclosing this existing open-air breezeway and then building new enclosed corridors to connect all the separate buildings together, including our new building, which is shown in blue, our new band and choir, and our new restroom facilities and public lobby. This option was also unanimously recommended by the Citizens Bond Advisory Committee for your consideration. We asked the CBAC what they thought of these 3 options, and they overwhelmingly wanted us to recommend to you tonight option 3. That was their recommendation. And then this is just a close-up view of the Fine Arts Complex at Nimitz based on bid option number 3. And then this was the VE list. Again, there's nothing on this list that we have any concern about. It's all very reasonable and practical ideas to find some cost savings, but not diminish the quality of the final facility. Our construction timeline, based on whatever option you choose, is to begin construction after the new year, and we have 15 months planned to build the new facilities, with the new facilities opening up and completing in the end of March 2020. All right, so financially, how does this play into our financial posture? This is the same presentation I had included in the first presentation with the safety and security upgrades, so let me just go to the end. In that presentation, what we priced in for your consideration was bid option number 3. So the $1,850,000 in the construction contingency and the $12,875,000 in the global contingency was based on awarding the most expensive option with all the enclosed corridors. So if you choose option 3 tonight, there's no impact at all on the amount of money we have remaining in our contingency, which is $14,725,000. So our recommendation is to award bid option number 3 with bid alternate number 1, which encloses the breezeway next to the main academic building, build a new band and choir facilities, renovate the auditorium, and close all of the facilities under one roof with enclosed connecting corridors, provide the site improvements, value engineering of $477,950 with a total cost of $8,087,050, which means we need to increase this project budget by $2 million in order to have this project fully funded from the construction contingency. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Can you go back a couple of slides? That's coming from your contingency, not the 15 million contingency, right?
Correct.
Okay.
My contingency, if we didn't have this project being over budget, would be $3,850,000.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I've already priced in option 3, so my contingency drops to $1,850,000 as we fully fund the Nimitz project with option 3 if you select that tonight.
Okay, thank you.
I had the same question. I just have a couple more.
Go ahead.
So I just have a couple questions.
Yes, Ms. Winger.
So you provided the list, and one of them had to do with the subcontractors. So you provided a list of all the subcontractors, and
It's a strong team. Got a
okay,
good group
so
of subs.
are they mostly small business, or do we know?
It's an assortment.
Okay, but
We don't have any requirement in our bid documents.
I understand.
For any specialty type of requirements. Any contractor can bid any project, and there's no special consideration given to any, whether it's women-owned, minority, or whatever. Everybody stands on the same ground when they bid.
I understand. I'd
Okay.
just like to, at some point maybe see what our, just see that for information
Okay.
purposes.
Absolutely.
If we can. So you said a lot of value engineering was done, and, you showed us the list of that. But none of that really changed significantly any of the scope of work?
No, ma'am.
The initial scope of work?
Nope.
And so basically you negotiated with the lowest initial bidder, which was F.A. Nunnally, because I noticed that Weber Commercial was, no, they were a little bit higher. But when you looked at the total base bid and bid alternate number 1, Weber Commercial was slightly lower, but you still looked at negotiating with the one that was lower on the base bid.
We went with a best value selection process. So we looked at price, project management ability, safety record, the strength of subcontractor team, the general contractor's prior past performance and record of construction. And I'm here to tell you, Weber's, who had a little bit lower price than Nunnally, their specialty right now is in horizontal construction, so they do a lot of roads and bridges. They're now venturing into commercial construction and school construction, and they don't have a lot of project experience in this regard. So they didn't score as well in past performance with school construction because they don't have a very strong record. Nunnally, however, has a really good record, and they earned extra points for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Does anyone else have any other questions? So basically, by enclosing all of that, we're eliminating the need for fencing when we go down to look at middle schools. Is that
We wouldn't
kind of-
have to do any fencing here around the fine arts facility because it's all enclosed and connected to the building.
Okay. So if we were to not go with this, we would potentially
We'd have to do
then-
something along this breezeways in order to create a secure environment for
Right.
students as they
When we look at
circulate
middle-
to class.
Okay.
And by doing this, all of the Nimitz facilities will be connected. They won't have to go outside except to the football field, track, outdoor activities, but the entire school will be now enclosed.
Correct.
Okay. Which is great. I like that. Okay. Anything else? All right. Do I have another book to read?
It's a little shorter.
I'd be happy if someone else would like to read it. Nobody else has it up on their computer. So, the executive director, I make a motion. Oh, you have it? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, no, you're fine. I'm just saying I've got it up.
Madam President.
Yes.
No,
It's on me.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the district contracting with the F.A. Nunnally Company at a total bid cost of $8,087,050, including bid alternate 1 to construct the Nimitz Middle School Fine Arts Addition and renovations project, and recommend that we grant the superintendent, associate superintendent for operations, and the executive director of construction management and engineering authority to execute the contract.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hughey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Sullivan.
It was
And
my pleasure.
thank you, gentlemen, for being here this evening. We appreciate
Merry
that.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas to
Christmas.
you. All right. Item E, consent. 1, business services. A, budget amendment number 2. B, waiver of penalties and interest. C, over 50,000 purchases. D, donations. 2, operations. A, 2015 bond program, Northeast Sports Park main entrance improvements project bid award approval. B, professional services contracts, construction contracts, and related contract amendments supporting the 2015 bond design and construction requirements. C, minutes from October and November 2018. 3, end of consent. Do I have a board member wishing to pull an item from consent? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve consent as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hughey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 10, reports. A, financial statement review of expenditures. That has been provided for you. Item B, awarded bid report. That has been provided for you. Item 11, matters from the floor. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies. 2, a personnel action. 3, a student disciplinary matter. 4, a complaint about a particular student. 5, or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Ms. Hughey.
Patsy Esterline.
Good evening, Ms. Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy. My name is Patsy Esterline, 6800 Park 10 Boulevard, and I'm president of the Northeast AFT. First, I would like to update you on our first book progress. We have now collected 1/3 of the signatures and non-work emails necessary to receive the 40,000 books and hope to finish in the middle of January. We would be looking at a distribution date in late February or March. And we want to acknowledge the support we've received from Dr. Maika and the NEISD Administration in order to deliver the 40,000 books to the Title I students. Thank you. Second, the Texas Legislature begins its session on January the 8th, 2019. As you well know, this session is extremely important for Northeast ISD as well as other districts in the state. There has been a small but important shift of power in favor of public schools since the last session. We will miss Speaker Joe Strauss. However, State Representative-elect Steve Allison is a strong replacement for that district, and Strauss's apparent replacement as Speaker has placed funding public education at the top of his agenda. To help us succeed, Northeast AFT would like to partner with you on the bills that support our agenda and yours. We'll have a lobby day on the Monday of spring break, March the 11th, to bring teachers and support personnel to Austin. Last session, we had 225 from Bexar County on lobby day, including some NEISD students who got a good view of the representatives at work. We would welcome your joining us on the bus. And Dr. Gottardy will send you an email asking permission for us to use Blossom. Public schools in Texas are at a crossroads, and it is up to us to ensure their future by making sure our representatives represent us well. I also have our state brochure highlighting our legislative priorities, which I have left for you to read at your leisure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Item 12, discussion and possible action regarding board members' request for items to be placed on a future agenda and our request for reports from the administration. Does a board member have anything? Seeing none, item 13, adjournment, and the time is 7:42. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Gottardy would like to say something.
I'm sorry, real quick, I just want to recognize Mr. Bill Boyd and Ms. Terri Chidgey for many years of service to the Northeast Independent School District. Happy retirement. Thank you, Madam President.